Hello, and thank you so much for joining me this morning in this video. Look at this fabulous view. I tried to catch it right on time just so you can have this treat. It's loving this view. So, okay, let's get right into our topic. It is going to be about the ingredients that are most effective for hyperpigmentation, but without sensitivity and all the issues. Because if you've had hyperpigmentation, you probably know, also experienced firsthand how it can come back stronger and angrier and darker if you've used any of those bleaching ingredients that are typically recommended by dermatologists, like hydroquinone and alpha-arbutin and all of those. So those are all very short-lived. They're immediate gratification type ingredients. They bleach, they suppress your melanin comes back. So if you're that person, this video is for you. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Nadia. I am the founder of the Functional Beauty Approach, which takes holistic beauty into account. So it fixes all your issues from the inside out and the outside in. I create guides, courses. I have a website, which is thebeautydoctrine.com, where you can find the very best clean choices that are also compatible with human skin. Believe it or not, most skincare products aren't. They're made to make money, but my goal here is to help you get your best skin in the healthiest way possible. I review and test every single product, and only the very best make it onto the Beauty Doctrine. Okay, without further ado, let's get to our topic, and that's how to fade hyperpigmentation naturally with safe ingredients. But before we get to the solutions, let's first understand what the triggers are. Because you can be applying solutions all day long, but if you're not eliminating the triggers, you're not gonna get ahead. So the very first trigger, which is the one that tends to be blamed most of the time, is the sun. Believe it or not, there are many other triggers that most people don't know about, but let's cover the sun. We need the sun. You still want to go out in the sun, but have sun exposure responsibly. And by that I mean using an excellent sunscreen that has a tinted zinc oxide that you reapply. I personally like to apply it on the face, neck, and décolleté, and then let the sun soak in because I want that vitamin D. The sun is super healthy for us. It's just in moderation. We don't want to be excessive with our sun exposure, but very important to have that exposure 15 to 20 minutes a day. Now, as long as you are protected with internal sunscreen, yes, there is internal sunscreen, and external sunscreen, you're good. What is internal sunscreen? So before you go into the sun, or before the sun season, so let's say you spend a lot of time in summertime at the beach, then maybe a month or two before, you start really loading up on your beta carotene vegetables and fruits and lycopene, especially tomatoes. Tomato concentrate, tomato sauce tends to be the most concentrated in lycopene, and it can build up that internal sunscreen up to 40%. This does not replace your regular sunscreen, but this is really helpful for those that tend to have hyperpigmentation, that tend to have burns and things like that. You want to build that internal sunscreen leading up to the time that you're going to be out in the sun for prolonged periods of time. Or just incorporate tomatoes and tomato sauce, tomato paste in your diet throughout the year. That's really healthy for you. Of course, anything with beta carotene like carrots, orange vegetables tend to be very helpful as well in building that internal sunscreen. Externally, you want to make sure that you're very well hydrated prior to sun exposure. That provides that additional exposure, using products that have vitamin C or any other antioxidant to help combat those free radicals. And free radicals are really at the core of creating any type of hyperpigmentation or other skin issues. So our antioxidants are the first line of defense in addition to that sunscreen. Part of why the sun creates that pigmentation is really heat. So that leads me to the second culprit in getting pigmentation, and that's any heat source. So I've seen this so much as I consult with many clients now for 28 years, where they following any types of thermal device treatments like certain lasers or using cheap red light therapy devices that emit any type of heat, or RF therapy. So you want to be very conscious of the fact that you are possibly triggering hyperpigmentation when you're exposing your face to heat. And that's not only from cosmetic tools, but also even if you're a chef, you're cooking over a stove all day long, or if you're a gardener, or if you're just exposed to a heat source, including saunas, you guys. I have a hack for sauna, by the way. In order to continue to get those benefits of sauna, instead of going into a room where your entire body, including your face, are exposed to the heat, you would just wear a sauna blanket, and I will make sure I link it up below. That's my preferred method for getting the tremendous benefits of sauna. You don't want to miss out on those, but without exposing your face to that heat. The next trigger is ingredient interaction with the sun. And by that I mean, if you use products with alpha hydroxy acid specifically, or retinols, you're highly likely to have those ingredients interact with the sun, producing hyperpigmentation. Most consumers have no idea that those ingredients are embedded in many skincare products, including daytime skincare products. Believe it or not, many brands and brand creators are not even aware of that. I've consulted with so many that were just in awe when I start educating them on why they shouldn't be using those alpha hydroxys in their formulations, especially in day formulas. Even in night formulas, I'm always worried about those, because you don't need alpha hydroxy acids on your face every single day. You need them about once a week, maybe twice, in a mask or something that's washable. So my preferred method of exfoliating with alpha hydroxy acids is applying a mask on the face, waiting for 20 minutes, taking it off, or shorter depending on the mask and the concentration, washing it off, and then applying my night routine and going to bed. That is the safest way to exfoliate to prevent hyperpigmentation. The other class of ingredients to look for that will cause you hyperpigmentation are citrus essential oils. They are abundant in skincare, especially in natural products. Yes, people that are always seeking out natural products because they're organic, because they think that they're safer than synthetic counterparts, they are not always right, because natural is good in some instances and bad in others. And so the bad part of it is the use or overuse of essential oils in natural formulations. I like certain essential oils, but in moderation, or in actually scarcity. I like very little essential oil or none in my products. And if I allow it in some of my products, let's say I have a 5-product routine, I would only have one of them have essential oils. So it's really important to have that routine be balanced and not have essential oils throughout the entire skincare routine. The culprits, the worst essential oils that interact with the sun and potentially create pigmentation, are citrus oils. So you want to look for neroli, bergamot, lime, lemon, grapefruit, orange peel. And please let me know, do a little audit of your skincare products and let me know in the comments. I would love for you guys to be engaged with this content so that we can teach each other and learn from each other. Obviously, my bandwidth is very limited. I can't review every single product. So your homework is to look at every product that you're using on your face, especially during the day, and look for those ingredients that I mentioned. So alpha hydroxy acids, which typically end with the word acid, so there would be like mandelic acid, tartaric acid, lactic acid, glycolic acid. So that's the class of alpha hydroxys. And then the class of sensitizing essential oils that interact with the sun, which are the citrus oils, and I will list them again right here. So for us to be able to treat your hyperpigmentation, you got to eliminate those from all of your products. The next culprit in hyperpigmentation, I'm looking at it right here, which is a screen. So phones, computers, even overhead lights, all this blue light that we are surrounded with is a culprit for hyperpigmentation. So can never say that word correctly, hyperpigmentation. And so, or let's say discoloration or dark spots, they are on the rise, and that is because of many people are like this close to their screen most of the day. And so that's where a physical or mineral sunscreen comes into play. It's so important. It's becoming increasingly important to use that tinted zinc sunscreen. You can find my favorites that are vetted to be essential oil free, sensitizers free, irritant free, all of that. You'll find them on my website. But that is the very first step. If you were to do anything for your skin, you're not interested in other advice, at least take that one bit of advice, and that is a tinted mineral sunscreen, because it not only protects you from UVA and UVB, but also blue light. Other things you can do is limit your screen time, obviously, and use screen protectors. This next culprit, we don't have too much control over, unfortunately, and that is hormones. A lot of times women will get their first issue with melasma, specifically as a form of hyperpigmentation, when they get pregnant or they get on birth control. So those rapid fluctuations in hormones can lead to hyperpigmentation. However, a lot of the solutions, a lot of the ingredients that I will be sharing can work in managing that condition, though you have to be extra careful. So people with melasma, they have to be more careful with their exposure to heat sources more than anybody out there. When you're out in direct sunlight, you really want to invest not only in that sunscreen, but also a hat. Also take breaks from the sun, because melasma is one of the most fragile and easily triggered, hyperpigmentation types. So I've worked with people that would be making progress over months, and then one full day in direct sunlight at the beach messes everything up. I just have to pause again and look at that background. The sun is coming up and it's just stunning. So, wow. All right, back to recording. Now, the next culprit, and that's also something that most people are really surprised about, is hair removal tools, especially waxing. When you wax, you actually are creating inflammation that triggers that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which can also be caused by picking at your acne. So anytime there's any type of physical scar on the face, obviously if you get cut, sometimes you just scrape your skin with your fingernail, by accident, and then you'll have that little scar for years to come. That's post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, another one that we want to watch out for. So if you get a blemish, I know it's really tempting to pick it, but just think, hear me in your ears saying you can live with the blemish for a week or two and it goes away without a trace. You can have that acne scar left behind for months or even years in some cases. And when it comes to waxing, I personally do not wax. I love just tweezing. So when you tweeze, you're removing one hair at a time, so that's easier obviously with the eyebrows. Other areas you can do threading, but waxing tends to be the most inflammatory and the one that would typically lead to that hyperpigmentation. So if you're watching this video and you're going, Nadia, I'm doing everything right, so everything you've listed so far I do not do, it's not part of my routine, and you still are experiencing hyperpigmentation, I want you to look into B vitamins, specifically vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 plays a role in melanin production by affecting the tyrosinase, and that's the enzyme responsible for synthesizing melanin. Now, let's get to the start ingredients that can help you safely manage hyperpigmentation. The very first one on the list, you probably guessed it, is vitamin C. Vitamin C is phenomenal. It's a very powerful ingredient, an antioxidant that helps with many skin concerns, not just pigmentation. It's going to boost your collagen production. It helps fight off free radicals that are damaging and aging to your skin. And of course, it helps clear that hyperpigmentation. But you got to be using the right form of vitamin C, and it's not L-ascorbic acid. L-ascorbic acid is used in most skincare products, can be harmful for the skin because it's a low pH very often, which can be sensitizing, impairing that lipid barrier, and also it degrades very quickly. Hence, the formula needs a lot more chemicals to help it be stable, and then just fingers crossed that it actually will stay stable and not oxidize. If it oxidizes, it actually can harm your skin. It can cause further damage and further aging in the skin. And so you want to stick with safer alternatives that are not as aggressive, they don't work as quickly, but they will still render results over time. You can find all my picks on the beautydoctrine.com, and I will link up a video that details why you shouldn't be using L-ascorbic acid and the good or better alternatives. The next ingredient on the list is azelaic acid. Azelaic acid is known to be an anti-inflammatory ingredient. So not only it helps with post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, but the very source of it to begin with. So it helps you with that acne as well as post-acne scarring. The next ingredient is zinc oxide, and that is the main ingredient in the sunscreen that I talked about earlier. I cannot stop talking about mineral tinted zinc sunscreen because I know how much that can do for everyone about every skin concern. So it's the first line of defense when it comes to anti-aging, pigmentation, acne, even acne, because zinc is anti-inflammatory. Zinc is soothing for sensitivity. It's protective to the lipid barrier. It does it all. So just get that tinted mineral sunscreen. Next ingredient on the list is an alpha hydroxy acid that's going to help slough off those dead layers, helping with cellular turnover, making those, or allowing, it doesn't make fresh cells, but allows newer, healthy cells to come up to the surface that are not as discolored. So this is where most people make the biggest mistake. They hear this because all of the marketing in the beauty industry is all around renew your skin, reveal new skin, exfoliate to have even skin. Well, if that were the case, if that was successful, everybody by now would have great skin because there are alpha hydroxys everywhere. Everywhere you turn, every product, on the shelf almost has alpha hydroxys, and yet people are suffering. And that is because alpha hydroxys, they can work really well for you if used correctly, and they can turn against you, and so if you overuse them. And so that's what the issue is. Now, we need to be very discerning what products have alpha hydroxy acids. I don't mind seeing them in a very low concentration, certain ones, not glycolic acid, but mandelic acid, maybe lactic acid, because they're a big molecule, they sit on the surface of the skin, they're not gonna irritate much, they wash off easy. Those are okay if I see some in a night cream maybe. But day products should not ever have alpha hydroxys in them. So do your due diligence and check out your ingredient list. Make sure they don't have those alpha hydroxy acids, but make sure that you get an excellent alpha hydroxy acid mask or even overnight serum that you can just use once a week. If you have issues with your skin, let's say you're advanced in age, you don't have as much cell turnover. So I'm 47, and just this year, for the first time in my life, I started exfoliating once a week. I used to always exfoliate every other week or every 10 days. I would say I let my skin tell me when to exfoliate. So when I'm applying my skincare products, I, kind of feel, if I feel some texture, then I would exfoliate. And so that always kept me in the loop with what my skin is actually doing and how often it needed the exfoliation. We can't just wake up and exfoliate like most brands tell us to do. Most cleansers have a lot of exfoliants. You get the point. Now, if you want to work on that hyperpigmentation effectively while preventing further discoloration from happening, get a good exfoliant with your alpha hydroxys. It can even have glycolic. Glycolic is very powerful. That's if you have resilient skin. So if you're somebody that's like myself, I'm very sensitive, I don't touch glycolic. If you're someone that has darker skin tones, you probably don't want to touch glycolic because the skin has a lot of melanin that can impact your melanocytes. So lighter skin types can get away with glycolic if they're not sensitive. But my absolute favorite exfoliant is lactic acid. Lactic acid is found naturally in our bodies. Our bodies recognize it. It's also a hydrating molecule, so we can't go wrong with it. And it's, again, a bigger molecule, so it doesn't really absorb quickly, cause any irritation or tingling or anything like that. So that would be my advice as far as maintaining that exfoliation and renewal of the skin. Another class of ingredients that works very similarly to alpha hydroxy acids are enzymes. So those also help loosen that dead skin on the surface. And so that's another option. There are really great masks that combine both enzymes as well as alpha hydroxys. those are fine. You can find a few of my favorites on my website. But if you'd like more guidance with shopping choices, I created multiple guides based on skin concerns. There is one for hyperpigmentation. It has specific brand recommendations. They're all linked up. We click on the product, it takes you right to where you can purchase it. If you'd like a free copy of the guide, just comment GLOW. So the word GLOW in the comment section, and I will send you a link to the guide. And if you're a geek and want to learn a lot more about hyperpigmentation, you can go on my website and find the hyperpigmentation course. You can sit there, sort through it, look at diet, supplements, products, ingredients. There are a ton of different resources on thebeautydoctrine.com that can help you on your journey to getting rid of that hyperpigmentation once and for all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that this video brought you some value. If you learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until the next video, be well, be safe, be beautiful. Take care.